This sounds made up. A broken leg usually means death for a horse, but it's true. Here's why. Horses don't stand like humans. Humans stand on the soles of our feet. Our weight is spread across a wide surface. Horses don't have that luxury. A horse stands on the very tip of a single toe bone, the third digit. What looks like a hoof is essentially a hardened fingernail surrounding that bone. If you translate this to humans, it would be like walking on the tips of your middle fingers all the time. That means the pressure on each leg is enormous. When one leg breaks, the remaining three must suddenly carry far more weight. This overload often triggers a condition called laminitis, a painful inflammation where internal hoof structures begin to fail. In severe cases, the bone inside the hoof can actually penetrate the hoof wall. At that point, recovery is almost impossible. Why can't a horse just lie down and heal? This is where things get even worse. In humans, lying down is rest. Standing or running is effort. For horses, it's almost the opposite. A horse's circulatory system depends heavily on movement. When a horse walks or runs, each hoof striking the ground helps pump blood back up the leg toward the heart. Standing and moving aren't optional behaviors. They're part of how blood circulation works in a horse's body. If a horse lies down for too long, blood flow to certain tissues is reduced, and those tissues can begin to die. So even with a broken leg, a horse instinctively tries to stand, but standing worsens the fracture. Pain leads to stress. Stress leads to struggling. Struggling causes more damage. The animal becomes trapped in a loop of pain, inflammation, and mechanical failure. Treatment exists, but rarely works. In theory, a broken leg can be surgically repaired. In reality, it's extremely expensive, medically risky, and has a very low success rate. Even if the bone heals, secondary complications like joint inflammation, infection, or chronic laminitis often follow. That's why only a tiny fraction of horses with severe leg fractures ever fully recover. For most, euthanasia is considered the more humane option. Wouldn't an animal like this have gone extinct? That's a fair question, and in a way, it almost did. Wild horses originally went extinct in the wild. All modern horses descend from domesticated populations. Even today's Przewalski's horse, often called a wild horse, survives only because humans bred it in captivity and reintroduced it to nature. From a purely evolutionary standpoint, horses are highly specialized, almost over-specialized. They invested everything in speed, endurance, and evolutionary trade-offs. Horses are exceptional runners. They sweat efficiently, regulate heat well, and can maintain speed over long distances. But that specialization came at a cost. Their digestive system is inefficient. They have a large lung capacity, but a relatively small stomach. Unlike many other grazing animals, horses can't ruminate. They must eat frequently, and they rely on high-quality grass to survive. In contrast, many even-toed hoofed mammal evolved multi-chambered stomachs and highly efficient digestion. They can survive on tougher plants. Horses can't. Without humans providing food, shelter, and medical care, horses would struggle to compete in modern ecosystems, the species that met humans at the right time. And yet, horses didn't disappear. They met humans. Humans compensated for their weaknesses, provided food, protected them from predators, treated injuries, selected for desirable traits. In return, horses gave humans something invaluable: speed, mobility, and strength far beyond our own bodies. For centuries, horses weren't just animals. They were infrastructure, transportation, agricultural power, military assets. The limitations that nearly doomed horses in the wild became irrelevant once humans entered the picture. A horse with a broken leg doesn't die because it's weak. It dies because it's too specialized, perfectly designed for running, and almost nothing else.